Good news, everybody! We have more information regarding Mythic Plus. I think everybody knows by now which dungeons are in the rotation, but I think the best news is regarding the affixes. Well, good news is also with the dungeons, let's be fair, because there's some really cool ones coming back. And for the majority of us, Sunshade included, myself included, probably a lot of you included, we kind of loved a lot of these dungeons that came in. And we're going to talk about specifics right in a moment. First of all, let me welcome you guys, Sunshade. Hello.
Hello again.
So, guys, Sunshade is not a Blizzard developer, as you guys asked in the comments on the previous one. Sunshade is part of the team here at Marcelian Online. She's a head of research, as she likes to hear me say it. She does a lot of things, editing, researching, you know, making sure we don't say stupid shit. So, this is proper due. Flame is streaming, so again, he came from the dentist yesterday, cannot join us because now he's streaming. So we have to do this. It's fine. Let's get into it. Mythic Plus dungeons. Shall we start it off with the actual dungeons, son?
Let's.
All right. So, we all know the 4 remaining Dragonflight dungeons for this season, because we didn't really play like Halls of Infusion, Brackenhide Hollow, Ultimon, Neltharion, all of that. Those are coming in. That was kind of a no-brainer. We're going to talk about those, but I think the interesting ones are the 2 from BFA. Freehold, yay, and Underrot, yay. I mean, it's still a yay, but
it is definitely a yay.
It's
for
still
Underrot.
a yay, yeah.
For me at least.
Yeah. Well, there's things over there, but also Neltharion Lair from Legion, and maybe the biggest surprise here, Vortex Pinnacle from Cataclysm. We're gonna get to each and every one, so. Let's see the logic behind them, because I know there were a couple of interviews, you know, people from Blizzard kind of spoke about this. So, you know, given the patch name like the Embers of Neltharion's Lair kind of made sense over there. What were those, the drog bars? Were those there?
Yeah, they had drog bars in there, and we also find them in the new area.
Oh yeah, with the snail racing and stuff and all of that. Exactly. For sure. Vortex Pinnacle, I've seen some comments on Wowhead and on Reddit and stuff like, why would you bring that? Vortex Pinnacle was, first off, it was in Cataclysm, that was all Deathwing, you know, fucking shit around, and that was full of elementals. You have to remember, like, if you go to the Dragonflight zones and whatever, there's a lot of elemental stuff happening. Even Razaged, isn't she like super imbued with like lightning and stuff, and we have like the council is like with, you know, fire and earth and all that. It makes sense.
It does, yeah.
I don't know. Story-wise, could possibly, you know, maybe they want to retcon some stuff, but yeah. Freehold. What do we think about Freehold, son?
Freeholds, I know it was big because it was an all-time fan favorite. It was super run during BFA. It was run for leveling. It was run for fast dungeon clearing. When you had the 4 mythic dungeons to clear for your weekly, everybody would just go to the last boss until they fixed that.
Bastards.
It was, I don't know, it has a nice vibe with the birds and the pirates, and it's just fun.
Yes. Basically, Freehold will be our new Court of Stars in SBG. This is hands down. We're gonna farm the shit out of that, and it's a really fast-paced, simple dungeon to run. Once you get used to everything over there, it's gonna be great. And yeah, it's kind of like a fan favorite. It was a no-brainer for them to put it in there.
You might say it's a free dungeon.
I see what you did there. Freehold, free dungeon. All right. Now, Underrot. Now, I loved Underrot, but I cannot not remember the amount. So, pugs in Underrot were a huge problem. Underrot was one of those dungeons where if you didn't have all of the group know what to do or where to stay and position, bad times would have happened. Did you have this in Underrot, son? Because I know you like it.
Oh, yes. Underrot has a lot of frontals. A lot of frontals. The first boss has frontals. The second boss has frontals, which you have to soak. The last boss has frontals, which you need to position. And you know, in general, pugs are like, I'm just gonna stand here and hit the boss. I'm just gonna do that. So much. So yeah, it might raise some issues with pugs until people get used to it, but it's a really fun dungeon. I loved it.
Yeah, it was fun, and I remember like if it was it I think though that was the dungeon where you had the one-handers for demon hunters. I don't know, remember what they call bite crawlers something.
Yes.
The ones that those were so good for demon hunters, and I think also for monks. I used to play both back then, and they were really good. This is another thing. A lot of really cool items will be made available again from these dungeons, similar to what we had, like Court of Stars and SBG and all of that. But I still believe it's a great addition, although it will be a puck killer for sure. Definitely, Underrot involves much more complex skips, interrupts, mechanics, all of that. It will definitely be a learning curve for a lot of people who either haven't played it or totally forgot about it. Now, other than Neltharion's Lair, I think all the dungeons have mount drops. So
they do.
This is good times.
These 3 old dungeons, both Underrots and Freehold.
Oh my God!
3 and Vortex.
Freehold dropped the parrot mount. Was it?
Yeah, and Underrot drops the little Krog.
Yeah.
And we get a Drake from Vortex Pinnacle.
Hell yeah. So this is really cool. I really want that parrot for my outlaw role. God damn it. Okay, let's see what we're looking at here. So this is another document written by Sunsheet here. So Blizzard reps have said in interviews that they are looking into nerfing or completely removing some of the mechanics of certain dungeons due to their increased M0 difficulty. And while Brackenhide was mentioned by name, we're guessing Halls of Infusion is also somewhere at the top of the list. Good points here. The poisons in Brackenhide would require like a team of alchemists, as the cauldron only dispel 1 debuff at once. I think this was kind of brought up in the stream as well. Like, good luck healers in Brackenhide, because it's a shit show over there. The good thing about this is that Blizzard is aware. All right, so maybe this whole tuning and fixing thing didn't really happen up until now because nobody really cared too much about M0, but since we're getting into the Mythic Plus pool, I'm kind of happy they know about it. They're aware, so nothing specific.
They're not just aware, they're doing something about it.
Yes.
As far as they said, they are nerfing, starting with Brackenhide.
I've heard them say stuff before, specifically for dungeons and stuff. We'll see how that pans out, but it's still a positive thing, okay? Now, let's see. Uldaman, long-ass dungeon. It's with 5 bosses. Maybe, I don't know, the timer maybe can address that or make it shorter, because it's gonna be
longer.
Not shorter, longer. Sorry, yeah. Well, if you want a challenge, son, you can definitely have that.
I like a challenge, but I also like timing keys, and I'm not the best player out there. I'm okay, but
stop selling your shit.
I like to have a minute to spare,
Yeah, for sure. Neltharion. Now, this doesn't seem too complicated. We'll see how it is. The Spoils of Neltharion trinket is going to be the new go-to farm, unless they tweak it down a bit. Can you talk a bit about that? Or why do you think that will be the go-to trinket to farm?
I think that because, for example, my Evoker has that trinket 372, and it's barely overtaken by other trinkets. I'm still wearing it at 400 item level. I'm still wearing that trinket. It's really good. It gives a really good stats buff.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the thing. If they don't tweak it, raid bots will be our best friends because you're gonna see exactly how some of this gear. Again, I kind of dig this whole vibe with them always shuffling new dungeons in, and this is quite neat because now we're getting basically 8 brand new dungeons with their own loot tables. So we're gonna have access to some new shit, and as we know so far, and we kind of like experienced this, sure, you want those mythic raid drops or whatever, or you want your heroic raid drops, but man, dungeons kind of always gave out some pretty neat ass either trinkets or weapons or whatever. I cannot wait to see how the let's say gearing stuff changes. Not to mention the tier sets, the new tier sets that are coming for the raid. Those probably gonna be, because just as a quick parenthesis, we've seen the tier sets for this raid, and they did say that this is just basically an intro tier set stuff, maybe bump up the damage, not too much intricate. The real deal is gonna happen now in 10.1 with like proper, juicy tier sets that will either change your gameplay rotation or whatever, or at least heavily impact some sort of some aspect of your spec. It's gonna be cool to see. Shall we talk about affixes? Because there's very much good news over there. Okay.
Indeed, there are.
Now, son, I want you to share to the world what has been your experiences with thundering, good and bad. There's some good and some bad, I'm guessing. Maybe mostly bad.
I cannot remember very good experiences with it.
Damn.
Okay, they're not all bad, but most of them are meh. Okay, thundering, I don't like the unpredictability of it. Before you could plan around an affix, you would kill this mob or do the skip and then pull a big pack with the buff and so on. But with thundering, it comes at the end of packs. It comes when you need to do mechanics. Good examples are in Halls of Valor on Herja, when you need to dodge the little balls and your friends are all across the room. Or on Raging Tempest, you need to get the buffs and everybody's spread across. Generally, with spreading, it's a problem, or with quaking.
Ah, yes.
So, yeah, I wasn't very enthusiastic about thundering, and I am happy it goes away.
Yeah, and I think the good news is we don't have a new season affix coming. And the philosophy behind it is, and I agree with it, in the past, those season affixes were basically added there to just spice up the same old dungeons you ran over and over and over and over again. Not the case anymore. We have 8 brand new dungeons in our rotation, so a seasonal affix doesn't really make that much sense anymore. Plus, they haven't really done the greatest job at delivering some interesting seasonal affixes for quite a while now. We loved Reaping back in BFA. We loved, I don't know if it was Beguiling. I'm going to call it Beguiling, but it probably had a different name. The one with the obelisks, where you would teleport and you just, at the end of the dungeon, you would spawn, the lieutenants or whatever. That was really cool. You enabled skips. You would be less dependent on rogues. Those were interesting seasonal affixes. This one, we're quite happy that it goes away. So that out of the way, no more seasonal affixes. Bye-bye thundering. I know they also mentioned the level 7 affixes as well, and well, this is not we don't have any specific information. I think Morgan Day mentioned this, that they are looking at the level 7 affixes and maybe bring in some changes for them as well. Maybe not a removal, maybe a different way to deal with them or different rotation. Anyways, I think the general vibe was, something that won't make healers vanish for an entire week from the LFG tool, as I mentioned here. Like Tess used to do in Necrotic weeks. And yeah, Flame loved Necrotic all the time. He's just a different
Was he
breed.
a Death Knight?
He played Death Knight as well, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah, they didn't care about it.
Yeah, I think he... Yeah, I don't remember. Anyways, so let's see what Sun has to say. So you said that you want to maybe separate Grievous from Tyrannical and Bursting, and we're good to go? Yeah.
Especially from Bursting.
Yeah, for sure. When was that last week, by the way, Grievous and Bursting? God damn it, man. I hated doing dungeons that week. Yeah, it's a pain.
I couldn't find pugs. There were no healers. I would get insta-invited if I was healing.
For sure. Yeah. When you as a player see this happening, I can bet everything Blizzard sees, dude, this week nobody or a lot less people played Mythic Plus. And for them, gameplay time from players is quite important, I would assume, right? So let's see what we have here. And well, Bursting is a DPS care affix. The healer is the one who has to deal with it. Yeah, I feel like all of these level 7 affixes are basically healer punished, because if your healer is not if he's super stressed out with this, and you will get stressed out, it's not going to be a great experience. So them actually acknowledging that healers have a bad time during those affixes, or having those combined or paired up or whatever, another good win, I would say, for them. Acknowledgement is really cool, and they're communicating about it. Sun plays a lot of heals in dungeons. I actually healed on my Resto Druid last week. I don't know what key was. It was smallish, 12 or something. And I kind of wanted to shoot myself in the legs, basically. And Resto Druids are the easier, not easier, but they handle it much better than other healers. Let's put it like that.
They handle everything much better, yeah.
Yeah. So, good riddance, I would say, for Thundering and seasonal affixes. Good news. Hopefully, we get some more information on the level 7 affixes. The ones that punish the healers. happy about.
Mostly in pugs, though.
Yeah.
This really has to be mentioned. In pre-made groups and high keys,
For sure,
okay,
yes.
you have people who know what they're doing. But in a pug,
Yeah. This goes without saying. The majority of people, from what we gather, are kind of like going towards pugging, or if they're not pugging completely, maybe they have some sort of like friend or some 2 or guildies in their group. You still have to pug. That's when things tend to become problematic. So sort of. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to like affixes that affect healers. Maybe we can do a separate video about it, on like what you can do to help your healer in a Mythic Plus. How about that? Oh, what a concept!
I have some ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, because a lot of us do. Definitely worth an idea of a video. But hey, what do you think? Are you happy that Thundering is going away and basically we'll have no season affix, or do you think that was still required for it? And if you still believe it would be required, why? And also the level 7 affixes, you know, the ones that punish the healers. What do you think? Should they get a rework? Should they just be separated? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Sun will reply to them. I will too. Okay, so that's it.
Maybe Flame as well.
Flame as well if it's not in the stream, but we'll start a nice chat. Thank you everybody for watching the video. You guys have a great day ahead. Bye.
Bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.